Hey guys, in this video we're going to check out how to solve harder quadratic equations by factorising. So hopefully you've checked out the video where we solve quadratics with a single x squared term where a is equal to 1, and hopefully you've also checked out the video where we factorise these harder quadratics where a is not equal to 1. So that's going to be a really useful skill. So if you haven't checked that out, go and check that out first, then come back and play with this video. I will go through the factorising stage, just not in as much detail as I do in its own separate video. Okay, let's get cracking. So let's say then we want to solve 2x squared plus 5x plus 2 is equal to 0. It's important to realise that you can factorise any quadratic using the quadratic formula or completing the square, as long as it does have solutions. But in this video we're going to be solely looking at how to solve them by factorising. So remember then, the first step is to multiply the coefficient of the x squared by the number term. So 2 times 2, quite a nice start, that's 4. Now we need to think of two numbers that multiply together to give us 4, but add together to give us the coefficient of the x term in the middle. So here it's 5. Now those two numbers in this question are going to be 1 and 4. 1 times 4 is 4, 1 plus 4 is 5. Now given that we've got a 2x squared term at the start of the quadratic, we give ourselves two pairs of brackets with two x's in them. Now each of these numbers, 1 and 4, get plonked inside each bracket like that. So we get 2x plus 1 times 2x plus 4 equals 0. Now our final step in the factorising game here is if we have a common factor inside one of the brackets, we divide it away. So there is a common factor in 2x plus 4 of 2, so we can divide that away. And then in its fully factorised form, we get 2x plus 1 times x plus 2 is equal to 0. So that's the factorising part done. Now we're in a position where we can get our solutions. So remember that equations are like sentences. This is telling us that somehow 2x plus 1 times x plus 2 is equal to 0. So fact, somehow this is equal to 0. Now there's two possibilities. Either the first bracket is equal to 0, then 0 times the second bracket does give us that 0, happy days. Or the second bracket is equal to 0, then the first bracket times 0 gives us 0, happy days again. So let's check that out, let's investigate. So if 2x plus 1 is equal to 0, then we need to solve that for x. So if we take away the 1, we get 2x equals minus 1, and then if we divide by 2, we get x is equal to minus 1/2. That's one of our solutions to the quadratic, x equals minus 1/2. Now the other possibility was that x plus 2 equals 0, so that means then that x would equal minus 2, just take away the 2 on both sides. So our two solutions to that bad boy are x equals minus 1/2 and x equals minus 2. Jobs are good in. Okay, example 2. Solve 5x squared minus 13x minus 6 is equal to 0. Again, we're doing it by factorising. So our first step here is to multiply the coefficient of the x squared term by the number term. So here, that's 5 times minus 6. And that's going to give us minus 30. Cracking. Now we need to think of two numbers that multiply together to give us minus 30, but add together to give us minus 13. So those two numbers here are going to be minus 15 and a positive 2. 2 times minus 15 is indeed minus 30. Minus 15 plus 2 brings us back up to minus 13. So we've got a 5x squared at the start of our quadratic. So inside each bracket we whack a 5x. Don't forget the equals 0 at the end. I always used to be guilty of that. Now inside each of those brackets we put one of those two numbers. So we got 5x minus 15 and 5x plus 2. Okay, and then the final step towards factorising is to cancel out any common terms in either of the brackets. So we've got a common factor of 5 in that first bracket. So if we divide that 5 out, we will be left with x minus 3 times 5x plus 2 equals 0. Okay, so up to there the factorising is done. We are now in the position where we can get our solutions. So we got two possibilities. Either x minus 3 is equal to 0. So if that's the case, that tells us then if we add the 3, x is equal to 3. There's one of our solutions. Or the other situation is that 5x plus 2 is equal to 0. Now if we take that 2 away, we get 5x equals minus 2. And then finally if we divide by 5, we get x is equal to minus 2 fifths. So there's our other solution to the quadratic. Job's a good one. Okay, example 3. 6x squared add 5x add 1 is equal to 0. So the first step, multiply the coefficient of x squared by the number term. So 6 times 1, that's quite a nice one, is 6. Now we need to think of two numbers that multiply together to give us 6, but add together to give us the 5 in the middle. Now those two numbers are going to be 2 and 3. 2 add 3 is 5, 2 times 3 is 6. Cracking. So given that we've got a 6x squared at the start here, we need two brackets, each with a 6x inside. Again, don't forget your 0 there at the end. Now inside each of those brackets we put one of 2 and 3. So we get 6x plus 2 times 6x plus 3. Now this one's really exciting. We have a common factor in both brackets. So divide it away in the first bracket. We've got a common factor of 2. So that goes down to 3x add 1. And in the second bracket we've got a common factor of 3. Divide that away, we get 2x add 1. And that's equal to 0. Okay, so we've done the factorising stage. We're in the position now where we can get our solutions. So in this one, we're going to get two fractional answers. I haven't said actually so far, I would always leave your solution in fraction form. Fractions, believe it or not, nobody ever believes me, they are much easier to deal with than decimals. They're a lot cleaner, a lot neater. So we've got two possibilities here then. Either 3x plus 1 is equal to 0. So let's deal with that first. If 3x plus 1 is equal to 0, then we're going to get 3x equals minus 1, and then divide by 3, x is equal to minus a third. So minus a third is one of our solutions, or the other possibility is that 2x plus 1 is equal to 0. Take away the 1, 2x equals minus 1, divide by 2, x equals minus a half. So our two solutions, bad boy, are x equals minus 1/3 and x equals minus a half. Okay, we're going to look at one more. 12x squared minus x minus 6 equals 0. So, first step, multiply the coefficient of the x squared term, 12, by the number term at the end. So 12 times minus 6 equals minus 72. Now we need to think of two numbers that multiply together to minus 72 and add together to minus 1. So that might be a little bit trickier. Let's think about it. What two numbers multiply to 72 with a difference of 1? Oh, we got 9 times 8. 9 times 8 is 72. To get that minus 1, we would then need to have a minus 9 and a positive 8. Minus 9 times 8 is minus 72. Minus 9 add 8 is minus 1. So now, given that we've got a 12x squared at the start, each bracket needs a 12x inside it. And then inside each of those brackets we put one of either minus 9 and 8. So let's put the minus 9 in here and the 8 in that one. It doesn't matter at all which bracket you choose to put which number in, not even a bit. Okay, again we've got a common factor in both brackets. So in this first chap we've got a common factor of 3. So if we divide that out we get 4x minus 3. And in the second bracket we've got a common factor of 4. So if we divide that out we get 3x plus 2. And don't forget that equals 0 at the end. Okay guys, the factorising is done. We can now get our solutions out of this. So, we've got two possibilities. If 4x minus 3 equals 0, then 4x is equal to 3 and x is equal to 3/4. Or the second possibility, 3x plus 2 is equal to 0. Take away the 2, 3x equals minus 2. And then finally, x is equal to minus 2/3. So our two solutions to 12x squared minus x minus 6 equals 0 are x equals 3/4 and x equals minus 2/3. Okay guys, that's how we factorise and solve harder quadratics. Hope it's helpful. Was this video helpful? If so, be sure to leave a thumbs up and a comment telling me how you get on. For any further information you can follow me on Facebook and Twitter and send requests or any feedback you have. Search for Maths with Mouth. Cheers guys.